Hey, it's Aaron. Today I'm with a 2022 Infiniti QX60. This is all new this year, lots of changes, most of them for the better. This is basically the same size as Nissan's Pathfinder. The two share a lot in common, including third row, which changed this year a little bit. Also, some stuff under the hood here changed. Let's have a look at it. One of the key changes this year for the Infiniti QX60 is under the hood here. It's the same really well done V6 power plant, but now you have a 9-speed automatic transmission instead of the CVT it had before. That makes a big difference in how it drives and feels. It's a little more powerful, it's a little better on the road, and you don't have the soul sucking that a CVT can cause. Also, towing is now rated at, I believe it's 4,000 pounds if you're equipped and you have the all-wheel drive setup. All-wheel drive is key to that. So, really cool. Let's look at some design features. We'll talk about the interior, and we'll talk a little bit more about the drive for this. So from the side here, you can see the design elements of the QX60. It's very refined, so it's a simple, almost minimalist look, which is what you expect out of a luxury car. As I walk in and give you some perspective, you can see it's a fairly large vehicle. It is a 3-row crossover, but you see this steep shelf right here comes down really fast and then rounds out and creates the fender up here, and then that creates a line, a box almost, that's running along here. This one goes upwards, of course. This one fades right here, and a new one picks up right in here just before the door crease and runs. Really interesting look. So this runs along here, and then it fades out right before that door handle, and a new one to mimic the one in the front comes right above it right there, creating this steep shelf to accentuate and make a big rear fender. So you end up with a really interesting look. It's a nice mix and very unique. You don't see this sort of thing where they play with lines, you know, fade one out, start a new one, that kind of thing. You don't see that a whole lot. Down on the bottom, there's also a very pronounced line to create this steep inward tilt, which is accentuating the running board and or rocker panels. And then between these two heavy lines, you just have a slight curve that runs in and slightly back out. Just some bone lines to really kind of soften this right here. And then running along the top, you can see it curves downwards towards the rear, creating that forward motion. And then they blacked out the pillars here so that and in the very back, so you're not seeing, so this greenhouse looks like one large piece instead of several sections. Really kind of a cool look. I really like it. The wheels are very good looking to go well with this, particularly in this color. And then you see you have a black roof up here. There's a panoramic sunroof in this as well, so all of that kind of blends. And then these caps on the mirrors mimic that black color up there, and the black on the blacked out pillars, which kind of just all goes together and comes together nicely. So yeah, it's a great design. Let's look at the working end back there, get inside it a little bit, talk a little more about the drive quality. So back here at the working end, it got a lot of rain this week, so you know it's kind of dirty, but you can see that this is the all-wheel drive model. There's the QX60 badge over there. If this had a tow kit, which it does not, but if it did, it would tow about 4,000 pounds. To open the hatch back here, this took me a minute to figure out because you're usually reaching and grabbing somewhere. There's just a little button right here. You push that, and there you go. On the inside here, you have a decent enough cargo space, so I can reach in. It's not very far to the third row seat. There's not a whole ton of room, but it's pretty good. Underneath that, there is a deep, fairly deep compartment. So it's about 6 inches deep, and you store a lot of stuff in there. This will stay open if you want it to. There's also a 12-volt plug, tie downs, 4 of them, 1 in each corner. If these are down, then you have 4. And There's some grocery hooks and a few other things in here. These seats right here for the third row, you can see it folds flat and gives you lots of loading if you need that space. So nicely done cargo back here. Let's go look at the interior. I'm not looking at the camera. Look at the camera. So you may or may not remember, I did a Nissan Pathfinder review, and it works exactly the same in this. You push this button right here, the seat pops forward and rolls forward, and that gives you access to that third row. Now I will say that the third row in this vehicle is really meant for kids. It's not an adult-friendly third row. I could try to squeeze back there, but I would probably need some Crisco. This is it's very tight quarters in the very back, and I'm a large person. I'm 6'3", you know, way over 200 pounds. So, but sitting in the back seat right here, you can see with this seat set for me at 6'3", I have lots of room for my knees. I can move my feet a little bit. I have space. Headroom, I'm touching the roof right here. If it didn't have this panoramic sunroof, I think I would gain probably 1/2, 3/4 of an inch, and that would help with this a lot. But even so, it feels pretty good. Now, something to note is that these seats can recline and slide. So there is adjustment. If I was willing to sit back more, I would have more headroom. So there is some adjustment in the back, which is unusual, but very nicely done. Also, there's a household outlet, couple of USBs, and climate controls. This is tri-zone in this particular package. So nice back here. It feels good. There's plenty of storage for little things. You got the seat pockets. You got drink holders on either door. You have drink holders in the armrest in the middle. Just plenty of places to just kind of drop things. The door handles do not go all the way through, so you could drop your phone in one of those, that kind of stuff. So nicely done there. Built-in sunshades in the windows. Just a well-done cabin back here. Let's go look up front. Okay, up front here, driver's position is good. I'm a little further back than normal because the car's not started, so that would mean I would have even more legroom back there. If I start it up, the seat will scoot forward a little bit to my preferred position, and so you can see just a nice feel. So everything's laid out well. You understand where everything is just by looking. You have some steering control, open the rear hatch, heating and cooling on the seats in this package. The shifter takes a minute to get used to. It's Nissan's new setup. They're moving throughout their lineup. Mostly it's just, it takes finesse. You have to learn how to go into neutral. So if you're in the habit of going to the automated car washes that pull you through and you have to go into neutral for that, you're going to have to learn how to just kind of finesse this little thing to get it to go to neutral. Push button park, which is nice. Tri-zone climate, I think I mentioned that before. Pretty good stereo in this. It's a nice stereo. And then just the feel for driving. It's a good setup. And honestly, this drives really well. I've read complaints where people say it's sluggish or unresponsive. I don't know what those people are looking for. This isn't a sports car. You can't expect it to be flying along like a Nissan GTR or something. This is a well done and very balanced vehicle to drive. So yeah, it's not going to win any checkered flags. It's not going to take off and do 0 to 60s in single digit numbers. Actually, it probably does, but you know what I mean. It's you're not going to get 5 seconds 0 to 60s out of this or anything like that. But that's not what it's for, and you shouldn't expect that out of a car like this. This is a very smooth running vehicle. Feels really good. Occasionally you do feel the transmission shifting, but that's usually just because you're pressing. If you're holding down that throttle and really trying to hit it, like to make a freeway on-ramp or something, then yeah, you're going to feel the shift because it's probably going to downshift, and then when it finally does upshift, it's going to be because you either hit the limit or you finally let off the throttle a little bit. But that's the only time you're ever going to notice it. The rest of the time, it's smooth and wonderful. So nicely done. One of the better Bose stereos that I've heard in a Nissan recently, especially the Infiniti line. They're kind of hit and miss with radio, and I think they've done a good job with their stereo in this. So nicely done overall. Couple of features I would like to see that aren't on this. I would like to see Nissan's camera view through here. You can get it in others of their vehicles. It's in the Armada, the QX80, etc., etc. I would like to see it here because it would be useful to eliminate that tunnel vision that you get in a large crossover like this. Also, this has Nissan's ProPilot system. Nissan's ProPilot system is one of my favorites. It's not as iffy, so it doesn't hit and miss like other ones do. It's pretty good and steady, and then also it just has a pile of safety features as part of it, including, if you're not responsive at all, stopping the vehicle, turning on the hazard lights, all that stuff. So really well done. Somewhere in my history I did a video on how that works. I will find that and try to link it below. Yeah, really well done. All right, so that is the 2022 Infiniti QX60. This in particular is the Sensory with all-wheel drive. So if you're wondering about the packaging, it'll run you about $64,000, give or take, to get this with delivery, and really nice setup for what you're for what you're paying for. Feels really good to drive it. I think I said that before, but really I got to emphasize that it's a smooth driving vehicle. Very well done there. Feels good. It's just a great car. They did a really good job here. So there you go, the all new 2022 Infiniti QX60. Talk to you again soon.